Welcome into another edition of Mavs Latest. I'm Josyah Howard, and we have one big question surrounding the Mavericks after Summer League. And no, it has nothing to do with Cooper Flag. Before I answer, please subscribe down below. Please leave any comments as I'm going along this episode here on Mavs Latest. But that biggest question for the Mavericks now that Summer League is wrapping up for them is that battle for the final roster spot in terms of the two-way deal that is available on the table left for the Mavericks is far from over. No one was really able to separate themselves in this Summer League for the Mavericks outside of Cooper Flag and some flashes from Ryan Nembhard to me, but there was a couple players obviously that had some flashes. One to me being Miles Kelly, but he already has a two-way deal to my, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and there's a couple guys that had some flashes that might be in contention for that last spot. One being Sharp, excuse me, and the other one being Maxwell Lewis. Maxwell Lewis to me is somebody that's shown flashes not just this year, but in last year's summer league. So yeah, he might be somebody that finally earns a spot on a team in terms of getting a last two-way deal. Um, I mean, if it was between those two, I'd probably give it to Lewis. I've seen a lot from him. There's definitely some game there to hold on to if I'm the Dallas Mavericks. Another name that people have kept their eyes on in terms of the Dallas Mavericks Summer League team was Melvin Aginsa, who had a great spot to obviously show off, but he was not able to get into any of the games, injured his groin that kept him out of all five Dallas Mavericks Summer League games. So definitely not a clear-cut decision on who's going to get that last two-way deal. But again, Ryan Nembhard and Miles Kelly are the other two people on a two-way deal. Um, yeah, maybe they want to go with a big, possibly with that last two-way deal, so we'll see. But in terms of everyone on the Summer League team that played their best, that still has a shot to get signed, I would keep my eyes on Sharp and Maxwell Lewis. Speaking of Summer League, obviously Cooper Flag was on not only a spotlight, but he also was shut down during Summer League. And even though he was shut down, his new teammate Naji Marshall was encouraged by what he saw in the two games as he was at a Mavs Hoop Academy camp, and he spoke with some media members there, and he had some words to say about his new teammate Cooper Flag, and he said, "I'm excited to play with Coop. It's a lot of pressure being the number one pick. Just go out there, play his natural game." And I think he got all the jitters out. In the second game, he came back with 30. It's something to look forward to this season. Um, he obviously was one of the Mavs teammates that was on the bench for Summer League watching from afar. And he was at the Summer League game where he faced the Lakers, and it was obviously Bronny versus Cooper. And he said the game was fun, not just because it was over. Not just because it was over Bronny, it was because it could have been anybody. It was good to see, encouraging my teammates. He's young, so I'm happy it made him feel good. Um, you know, I just think at the end of the day, like, this is going to be a thing of, I think all the veteran Mavericks teammates are going to continue to love to play with Cooper and be excited to play with Cooper. I think a lot of the quotes are going to be of this realm. But he continued to talk about Cooper Flag's performance, and he said, "I think he handled it well. There's something to be said for just staying composed and playing your game, and that's what Coop did. It was impressive to watch." Um, again, he says he's looking forward to his progression. So am I. Um, yeah, it's cool to see that because again, and I've said this before, not all veterans attach to their number one pick rookie picks. They don't. It's just the reality of the situation. So I'm happy to see Najee Marshall and Clay and Kyrie and Anthony Davis all kind of seem to be embracing Cooper Flag as their future teammate and not just like this guy that might be taking over as a face of the franchise. They're not necessarily worried about that competition. They're worried about helping him be successful, and they're most worried about trying to go win a championship. So if they can just keep up that mentality with all that stuff, I think the Mavericks are going to be fine, not just now, but for the future. Um, but also, Flag participated in an Ask Me Anything along with VJ Edgecombe of the 76ers. And he was asked what matchups he's looking forward to this coming season. And he said, I think the Charlotte Hornets will be a big game, obviously, with them having three of my former teammates. That will be really fun to play against them. The Suns have Kaman Malawach, and the Cavs have Tyrese Proctor. The Pelicans have Derek Queen. The Hawks have Asa Noel. So I think any game where I get to face off one of my former teammates would be pretty cool. Um, love him shouting out his old teammates. Kind of shows the type of guy he is towards his former teammates, and kind of shows exactly the type of relationship he can have if honestly he can develop these relationships with his new teammates in Dallas. So again, I'm really excited for what Cooper can bring to Dallas, and just like Najee Marshall said, I think him being kind of just quick thrown out there, give him a chance to bounce back. All right, pull him out. You're good. I think that was the smartest play with Cooper Flag in summer league, and um, I think we saw just the right amount of Cooper Flag this summer league, and you know, if you feel like you need to see more from Cooper Flag, I think you haven't really watched summer league before, and you need to know that you play a game or two if you're that type of player, game two, three. You just need a game or two of showing the flashes, showing that you could be resilient, bounce back, try some stuff, and that's what Cooper Flag did. So again, I was impressed with him in summer league, and I'm ready to see him get back on the court as soon as possible. But we've obviously been talking about LeBron as of late in terms of him possibly leaving the Lakers and coming to the Dallas Mavericks at some point. And the odds of him ending up in Dallas are actually starting to climb up as he was initially a let me see. He was as of July 7th, he was a plus 800 shot to be a Dallas Maverick to start this next season, and now it's up to plus 300. So there's actually some movement there, and that actually tells me that there could be some real smoke to that fire that's brewing in LA in terms of him leaving. And the odds of him staying in LA was minus 700, which is a crazy odd. Now knocked down to minus 340, which is still a real heavy favorite for him to stay in LA. But there is something to be said about a line moving like this to where the Dallas Mavericks still the leader in the clubhouse to be the team that grabs LeBron if he were to leave the Lakers. But there's something to that if you're making a line move and shift that much. So keep your eyes out. Possibly, maybe see something come down the line soon of why the line would shift that much in terms of the possibility of him leaving LA becoming a more realistic possibility. So, yeah, again, keep your eyes out. I don't necessarily know how realistic a trade is for LeBron James. I really don't know how realistic that is. But if there's a shot he gets bought out or a shot that he just tests free agency next year, I will continue to hammer this home. The Dallas Mavericks for the stage in the game is probably the best fit for LeBron outside of going back home to Cleveland. So we'll see what happens. We're obviously going to keep monitoring it here on Mavs Latest, but to wrap things up here with some Mavs chatter, I saw some commentary related to the Damian Lillard signing going back to Portland, and someone brought up the idea of if Dame could go back to Portland, could Luka go back to Dallas? And it's not apples and apples. And I would say if I'm a Dallas Maverick fan, I wouldn't hold your breath to seeing Luka joining the Dallas Mavericks anytime soon. I don't think it's going to be like a Damian Lillard where he's gone for a year or two and it didn't work out, grass wasn't greener, and then he came back. Um, this is a whole different circumstance. The Mavericks decided that Luka wasn't a fit for them long term, and they made a decision and moved on. This wasn't a Luka got old and they wanted to move on to a different star. This was a, hey, you don't fit what we were trying to do on and off the court, so we're moving you. So no, I don't ever see Luka coming back to the Mavericks again. I don't even really see him coming back for a quick stint to retire as a Maverick. I really do think we see a point where he kind of shifts and becomes this all-time Laker, and I do think eventually Luka does kind of start identifying as a Laker more than a Maverick. And most Mavs fans, including myself, will always consider Luka a Mav. But there will be a time period where there's a shift, and he's not really viewed as a Maverick like that anymore. It's more he's a Laker. So there's that, but also I just don't see a world, and again, I didn't see a world where Dame would be back in Portland, but things changed and things opened up for him to be able to make that move. I just don't see that with a Luka Doncic, just especially how everything ended. But this has been Mavs Latest. I'm Josyah Howard. Please subscribe down below. Please leave all your comments down below. And let's get it, y'all.